Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 3 PvP and another weapon showcase. Today we are using Friede's Great Scythe. Now this weapon was added in the DLC, which is filled with a bunch of new really fun weapons. But I like this one a lot. I think this might be one of my two favorite weapons from the DLC. So let's get started with the basics on it. This weapon requires 12 strength, 16 dexterity, 12 intelligence, and 11 faith in order to wield. It has an E scaling in strength, an A scaling in dexterity, an A scaling in intelligence, and an E scaling in faith. Its physical base damage is 200, its magic base damage is 140, and on this build I actually respect my quality build for it. I made it a 40-40 dex intelligence build, and its attack rating was right around 647, which is substantial. This weapon also builds up frost upon hitting your opponent, 35 frost buildup per hit, which is fairly decent. It cannot be buffed, it cannot be infused, so don't worry, you won't see this thing with frost weapon on it, no worries there. That said, pairing it up with that ice mist spell, whatever it's called, snap freeze, there we are, that can be a devastating combination, so be careful of that. This weapon has some really good things going for it. It's got a great moveset, really wide variety with the attacks that it can do, which is different for a Scythe. You wouldn't expect a Scythe to have such a wide variety of attacks other than, slashing back and forth. But the speed and the angles that this thing can come at you from, and the range that it has as well, really make it a very formidable weapon. On top of the actual moveset and the range of the weapon, it of course does have shield piercing. It is a Scythe, nothing should be, shocking with that. But because it also has that magic base damage and magic damage in general, it does a fair bit of chip damage as well, so it will go through shields extremely easily, no problem at all. Another thing I like about this weapon is that its two-handed R1s are completely unique among scythes. There are no other weapons in this class that have swings the way that this one does, and that's a good thing. Finally though, the biggest pro of the weapon is without a doubt the weapon skill and the R1 combo that it has. So the weapon skill is Alfreda's stance, and with that, you actually, like any stance attack, have both an R1 and an R2. The R2 does give you the ice on the ground that explodes upwards and shoots enemies up into the air. The R1 is the dual scythe attack that combos and does a lot of damage. Now with that dual scythe attack, which I think is without a doubt the best thing this weapon's got going for it, you can do a couple of different things. First off, when you go into that attack, you can continue it up immediately. You can follow it up right away from the very beginning. You do one R1, you do a second R1, you keep going, you keep spinning, and you keep winning, sometimes. Or you can delay the attack. You do the initial R1, you do that first spin, and you wait a second, just a little bit, right before you're about to reset to a neutral stance, and then you actually follow it up. So long as you time it well, you actually can catch them with it, and it works very, very well. It's extremely reliable, and it's the exact same sort of strat that works with the Follower Saber, which this guy here is using. You can delay that final swing for a very long time. It throws people off, it throws off the timing for parries, and that's always a good thing. It can also lead to newer combos. You can actually follow up with an additional R1 if you hit with the very end of your swing and you miss the beginning of it. That's all well and good. Another thing is you get a surprising amount of hyper armor with this weapon. Of course, the way that poise worked was changed, but I feel like hyper armor on certain weapon classes was also improved significantly. I feel like scythes are now really more of a force to be reckoned with due to the hyper armor that they receive. So that's a good thing, of course. Now, cons of the weapon. Damage with this weapon on critical hits is a little bit lacking. It also does have a slightly awkward hitbox, which is nothing unique to this weapon. Most scythes have that issue. It's only slightly awkward though, because when two-handed, its R1s are using that unique moveset, and that does make up for the fact that it's, a little bit awkward. Other scythes are worse. That's really what that comes down to. Oddly enough, overall, damage on this weapon is not the greatest, but it's mitigated by its ability to hit in quick succession and by the versatility in its moveset. So overall, I think this thing is fantastic. You can get some really cool looking combos on this thing, and it's really just a lot of fun to use, more than anything else. That's what really draws me back to this weapon over and over. I have a lot of fun using it. So, that's that. Either way though, guys, there is actually one fight left after this guy. It's the best fight in the video. The guy who I fight is clearly way beyond my ability to deal with, and he basically mops the floor with me. So, I'll let you guys watch through that. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.